Welcome to the Kindness Principles Podcast. I believe kindness is a cultural strategy that empowers people to create meaningful lives, healthier relationships, stronger organizations, and a world where everyone can thrive. My name is Cindy Smarsh, and I'm really glad you're here.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I'm just with myself today. I've had a lot of interviews lately. There's some great interviews with other kindness ambassadors out there and people who are working on helping leadership and companies understand the importance of being people first cultures and how that truly, truly benefits everyone, the company, the customers, the employees, everybody involved. So make sure you go back and listen to some of those previous episodes if you want to hear more input than just from me, but other experts out there in doing the work. Today, I want to talk about, my framework, the Kindness Code, is really a blueprint for companies to create workplaces that are people focused. It's one of the best approaches to retaining people, avoiding all those high turnover costs and the costs of low engagement and low morale. And kindness is an acronym. And one of the S's in kindness stands for support. And, there's nothing a leader can do that's more important than show support in their team for their team members, no matter what's going on. And one of the difficulties of corporate life is everyone's so busy, everyone has so much to do. It's hard to stop and take a breath and really connect and really get to know each other and be involved in each other's lives in more ways than just getting the job done or getting the project finished or meeting the deadline and so on and so forth. And I certainly acknowledge that leaders are under great duress to produce, produce, produce. But I am on a mission to help everyone understand what is proven out there in the research far and wide, all around the world, really. Not just even here in America, but that people want to feel like they matter in a workplace. They want to feel like there's real connection to other humans in their workplace. They want to belong and they want to be appreciated and acknowledged. And so, if you get tired of me saying that, ask yourself if you're doing all of those things. And support is taking all of that even another step. So here's a little story I found about a manufacturing manager. So the manager noticed that one of his top employees had become somewhat withdrawn and was making more mistakes than was typical. And so, but instead of like issuing a warning or putting him, on some sort of probationary, plan or something, he actually invited that team member into his office and said, "Hey, I'm noticing this and I'm noticing that. That's not like you. How are you actually doing?" And this employee literally broke down in his office and shared that his wife had been diagnosed recently with cancer. And so he was trying to juggle his job along with doing hospital visits with her, taking care of their kids, and managing all of this, all of these extenuating circumstances that are very scary and stressful as well. So the manager really listened, heard him, and instead of disciplining him, actually made adjustments to his schedule, showed some flexibility, talked to other team members to help cover some of the shifts, and then kept checking in with this gentleman on a regular basis to see how he was doing, how his wife was doing, and if further adjustments needed to be made. So, in a matter of months, this employee was able to return to his full duties and was performing well. And he ended up staying with the company for many, many years and actually became a supervisor himself. When he was asked if he had ever considered leaving, he said, "No, never, because when my life fell apart, my boss saw me as a person before an employee." So, is this not just a beautiful, true example of what I am talking about with the kindness code? Use really being supportive in leadership as much as possible. I know you can't always do everything for everyone, but there's usually something that you can do for just about anyone, right? Who's going through some extenuating circumstances. So, you know, kindness isn't lowering standards, it's not expecting less from people, but it's recognizing that before they really succeed, they're going to need to feel your support in one form or another. So, again, great leadership can look like a lot of things. The unfortunate thing is we often tie great leadership with high productivity, the bottom line, and all of those statistics and benchmarks. What's interesting is that when you have great supportive leadership, like this manager demonstrated, you also end up with a better bottom line and less turnover and higher productivity because the employees feel cared for. They're going to show up for you like you're showing up for them. And that's what supporting each other really means. So, again, when you feel supported in your life, don't you want to do things differently? If you know somebody's really in your corner with you, wouldn't you just show up yourself in the best way you possibly can as soon as you possibly could? Of course. And out in the world day to day, sometimes we get cut off in traffic, or we have a clerk in a store who's not very friendly, and maybe even the opposite, is really crabby, or a waiter or someone serving us in a restaurant that seems distracted or forgets stuff or isn't properly attentive or whatever. In all of those cases, when I'm really in those situations, when I'm really on my game, I stop and I take a breath and I think, hey, I don't know what's going on with this person right now today, that they're rushing around in traffic or making, hasty decisions, or that this person forgot my refill of my drink, a couple of times and needed to be flagged down, or forgot to bring the appetizer, or forgot, or wasn't very kind when I was in the grocery store, whatever. I don't know what their life is like today. I don't know if they didn't sleep good last night. Maybe they don't feel good. Maybe they're under some really great pressure at home or at work, and they're just not themselves. And so, if I can be aware of what I do not know and be supportive of that person by being kind, being patient, communicating as effectively as I can, giving them the benefit of the doubt, then they're going to be more responsive to that, and the ripple effect can feel really good for both of us. So, again, kindness principles, which is what this podcast and my business is all about, is true everywhere, in the office and outside of the office. And so please ask yourself today, how can you be supportive? Supportive at the office. How can you truly be um, aware of others at a level that maybe you have not been? And when you're out and about in the other aspects of your life, or dealing with other people in other places in your world, whether it's when you're the customer, or whether it's in your own home with your own family, or when you're working with an organization or something, if you volunteer or you're on the school board or whatever you're doing, how can you be supportive and notice the people you're interacting with as the human beings they are first, then how they are in the role that they're playing with you, and respond differently and just see how good it feels for everyone. So that's what I have for you today, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe to our show and share this episode with anyone who can benefit. If you'd like to learn more about how the kindness principles can change your life, please DM me on LinkedIn. And thanks again for listening.